Hello guys, today we will continue our journey through the alimentary canal, right? And the next one is the large intestine. After we have covered the small intestine, comes the large intestine. Right? So the large intestine is about 1.5 meters long and extends from the cecum in the right iliac fossa to the anus in the perineum. So from cecum to anus. Apart from the transverse colon and sigmoid colon, it is more fixed position than the small intestine because small intestine is freely mobile in the abdominal cavity. For descriptive purposes, the large intestine is divided into 4 parts, right? Cecum and appendix, colon, rectum, and anal canal. We will see. You see, select all of this is large intestine, right? So this part is called as cecum with vermiform appendix, right? And the next one is ascending colon, and this one is transverse colon, and this one is descending colon, and this one being the sigmoid colon. So all of this is called as colon, right? Cecum and the 4 parts of the colon, and this one is rectum, and this one is anal canal, right? So if you see like this, right? So this is the cecum with its appendix. This one is appendix, cecum, and the colon. After the colon comes the rectum. This one is, and this one is anal canal, right? The colon is further divided into 4 parts: ascending, transverse, and descending, and sigmoid colons, right? See in that. All the parts of the large intestine are retroperitoneal and fixed, except appendix, transverse colon, and sigmoid colon, which are intraperitoneal and possess mesenteries, right? So we'll see, right? So this is the peritoneum, right? So those are the retroperitoneal things, right? Here the cecum, you can clearly see cecum is not covered by peritoneum, right? We'll see. And this one is visceral peritoneum, right? So even the visceral peritoneum is not covering cecum, appendix, right? And the transverse colon has transverse mesocolon, sigmoid colon has, so all these things. This one is retrometron. This one is transverse mesocolon, right? So the mesenteries of these parts are mesoappendix, transverse mesocolon, and sigmoid mesocolon respectively, right? So you see cecum, right? All of this is colon, right? So in this ascending, transverse, descending, right, and sigmoid because it is in S shape. Rectum and anal. The functions are absorption of water from fluid contents in it to help form the feces, right? Storage, lubrication, and expulsion of feces, synthesis of vitamin B complex by normal bacterial flora present in its lumen, protection from invasion by microorganisms by its mucoid secretion, which is rich in IgA group of antibodies. So you already know these things from your physiology. So main function is to form the feces by absorption of water. Coming to the structure, similar to the small intestine, the colon also consists of 4 layers: mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and serosa. Mucosa doesn't present transverse circular folds, plicae circularis. There is no plicae circularis and there is no villi. However, temporary folds involving mucosa and submucosa are present in undescended colon. The surface epithelium is absorptive in nature and consists of columnar cells bearing microvilli, right? Because to absorb water. Intestinal glands or crypts of Lieberkühn are long and tubular and possess a large number of goblet cells. The lamina propria of the mucous membrane contains abundant diffuse lymphatic tissue but is devoid of Peyer's patches. So those are the differences between small intestine and large intestine, right? Coming to the submucosa, it is made up of loose areolar tissue and contains blood vessels, lymph vessels, and nerve plexus, Meissner's plexus. Coming to the muscular layer, it consists of outer longitudinal and inner circular layers of smooth muscle. The outer longitudinal layer is not continuous, rather it is arranged in three thick longitudinal bands called tinea coli, right? The inner circular layer of smooth muscle tinea coli is thin as compared to the small intestine. You can see that. You see. So you see the band is muscularis layer, right? That is tinea coli. This band, the whole length of the large intestine is present, right? So here and posteriorly also, right? So in the cecum and ascending colon, it is present anteriorly, right? As in transverse colon, it is changes its location like serosa. It covers the transverse colon and sigmoid colon, but parts of the ascending, descending colons are covered by tunic adventitia. The cardinal features of the large intestine are the presence of tinea coli, appendices epiploicae, and saculations or hastrations, right? Tinea coli, epiploicae, and hastrations. Tinea coli. These are the three ribbon-like bands of the longitudinal muscle coat. These bands converge proximally at base of appendix, right? So they start from the base of appendix and spread out distally to become continuous with the longitudinal muscle coat of the rectum. So it goes all the way to the rectum. Thus, tinea coli are present on all parts of the colon and cecum, right? In the cecum, this is important. Ascending colon, descending colon, the positions of the tinea are anterior. Okay, so it is called as tinea labera. Posteromedial is called as tinea mesocolica and posterolateral is called as tinea omentalis. But in the transverse colon, the corresponding positions are inferior, posterior, superior, respectively. So, you see, this is the tinea coli, right? So, anteriorly is called as libera, tinea mesocolica, and tinea omentalis, right? So, this one is appendix epiploica. These are small bags of visceral peritoneum filled with fat attached to tinea of large intestine. So it attached to the tinea coli of large intestine. Thus they are absent in appendix, rectum and anal canal. The appendices epiploica are most numerous on the sides of sigmoid colon and posterior surface of the transverse colon. Coming to the hastrations, circulation. These are series of pouches or dilatations in the wall of cecum, colon, between tinea, right? They are produced because length of the tinea falls short of the length of the circular muscle coat. The circulations are responsible for the characteristic puckered appearance of the large intestine. So, so these are called as hastrations, right? So these are some of the differences between small and large intestine. Length is 6 meters, whereas large intestine is 1.5 meter. Lumen is narrower in small intestine, wider in large intestine. More small intestine is more mobile, large intestine is less mobile. So the permanent and not obliterated by distension of the gut, transverse mucous folds in the small intestine, whereas in the large intestine the folds are temporary. There are villi, Peyer's patches, right, in the small intestine, whereas villi is absent in large intestine. There are no Peyer's patches in the large intestine, but large intestine have the presence of appendices epiploicae, tinea coli, and circulations, right? And this is a very important clinical aspect. The small intestine is a common site for worm infestation, typhoid ulcers and tubercular ulcers, whereas the large intestine is a common site for amoebiasis and carcinoma, right? Remember that point. And also the infection and irritation of the small intestine leads to diarrhea, whereas the infection and irritation of the large intestine leads to dysentery, right? Coming to the arterial supply, because we are covering the overview of the large intestine, right? So arterial supply of the large intestine is derived from both the superior and inferior mesenteric arteries because of the development from the both midgut. All the colon is developed from both midgut and hindgut. The cecum, appendix and ascending colon are proximal 2/3, okay, of the transverse colon are derived from midgut, so are supplied from superior mesenteric arteries, right? Whereas the distal third of transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, rectum and upper anal canal are hindgut derivatives, so supplied by inferior mesenteric artery via left colic, sigmoid, superior rectal arteries with a small contribution from internal iliac artery. So you have to remember left colic, sigmoid artery and superior rectal arteries, branch of inferior colic mesenteric artery. The arteries of the midgut and hindgut contribute to an anastomotic vessel, the marginal artery of Drummond, okay, which runs in a mesentery along the inner margin of the colon and gives us short terminal branches to the bowel wall. See, this is the superior mesenteric artery and this one being the inferior mesenteric artery. Superior mesenteric artery branches are middle colic artery, right? Right colic artery and iliocolic artery. Whereas the inferior mesenteric artery branches are left colic artery, sigmoid arteries, right? So the marginal artery gives up branches. They divide into vasa brevia, which pass directly through the muscularis externa of the colonic wall, and vasa longa, which travel through the subserosa for a short distance before running through circular muscle, giving up branches to the appendix epiploic. The marginal artery is formed by the main branches and arcades arising from iliocolic, right colic, middle colic, and left colic arteries. It is most apparent in the ascending, transverse, and descending colon, and poorly developed in descending colon. The marginal artery in the region of the splenic flexure may be absent or of insufficient caliber to be found of functional significance. See, within the peritoneum, mesentery, so this is the marginal artery, right? So the marginal artery is giving up branches. This is vasa longa, right? First branch. So from vasa longa comes vasa brevia, right? So this supplies the whole body. So these are the superior mesenteric artery, and this is inferior mesenteric artery. See? So you see, observe marginal artery, right? So this one forms the anastomosis between superior mesenteric and inferior mesenteric, right? This one being the superior mesenteric artery, this one being the inferior mesenteric artery, right? This is the anastomosis between superior mesenteric artery and inferior mesenteric artery, and this one being the marginal artery. So all of this is marginal artery. The marginal artery running parallel to the colon and providing an anastomosis between branches of superior supplying right side of colon and branch of inferior supplying left side of colon. Digital subtraction arterial. You see, this is the marginal artery, right? All of this is marginal artery. Okay, I'll show you. Okay. So this one aorta, right? So aorta giving this one being the superior mesenteric artery and this one being inferior mesenteric artery. Superior mesenteric artery has this one being the middle colic artery, right? Middle colic artery, right? You can clearly see that. So that is middle colic artery, right? Middle colic artery is a branch of superior mesenteric artery, and also right colic artery. This is right, and this is iliocolic artery, right? And in the previous class you have learned the jejunal and iliac branches. We'll hide them. Okay, so these are the principal branches of superior mesenteric artery, being middle colic artery, right colic artery, and iliocolic artery, right? And these are its branches. That's iliac branch and this is colic branch. Right, coming to the left, this is inferior mesenteric artery, right? inferior mesenteric artery has left colic artery, because this is right colic artery of superior mesenteric artery, this is the left colic artery of inferior mesenteric artery, and this one is sigmoid arteries, right? Sigmoid artery, and this one is superior rectal artery, right? Right? So we have left colic artery and sigmoid arteries and superior rectal artery, right? Superior rectal artery which supplies the whole of rectum, you can see. See, this one is superior rectal artery coming all the way to the anus. So that is supply of the colon, but what we have to see is this one is marginal artery, right? Selected structure is marginal artery, which is formed by branching of the arteries. So this marginal artery forms anastomosis between superior mesenteric artery and inferior mesenteric artery. You see, this marginal artery is formed by left colic artery, right? And also this is middle colic artery, right? So inferior mesenteric artery is anastomosing with superior mesenteric artery by this marginal artery, right? So that is the marginal artery. You have to remember that, right? So that is the characteristic of this colonic arterial circulation, and the veins are venusteinaceae by the same names, primarily into the portal vein via superior mesenteric and inferior mesenteric veins, although some drainage from rectum occurs via middle rectal into internal iliac and inferior rectal veins. Those parts of the colon derived from midgut, right, drain into colic branch of superior mesenteric vein, while hindgut derivatives into inferior mesenteric veins. See, superior mesenteric vein, inferior mesenteric vein. So middle colic vein, right colic vein, iliocolic vein, same names. Left colic vein, sigmoid colic, superior rectal vein. So these drain into superior mesenteric vein, these drain into inferior mesenteric vein. All of them inferior mesenteric opens into the splenic, ultimately to the portal vein, right? So the same names and same course, both veins and arteries. So these are the vein, superior mesenteric, selected structure is inferior mesenteric. We'll do jejunal branches will remove. So this is right colic, iliocolic, left colic, superior ethmoidal, and see this is superior rectal veins. Drain into, you see this is the superior mesenteric and this is inferior mesenteric, and this one being the hepatic portal vein. Okay. Coming to the lymphatic drainage from large intestine follow the course of the arteries. Lymphatic vessels of the CAECUM, ascending and proximal transverse colon drain ultimately into lymph nodes related to superior mesenteric and the remaining parts into inferior mesenteric nodes. Coming to the colon has 4 groups of nodes: epicolic, paracolic, intermediate colic, and pre-terminal colic nodes. Right? Epicolic nodes are minute whitish nodules on the serosal surface of the colon, sometimes with appendices pleural. Paracolic lies along the medial border of the ascending and descending colon and along the mesenteric borders of the transverse and sigmoid colon. intermediate colic nodes lie along the named colic vessels: ileocolic, right colic, middle colic, left colic, sigmoid, superior rectal artery. So these are the colic arteries, right, vessels. So these are called as intermediate colic nodes. Pre-terminal colic nodes lie among the main trunks of the superior and inferior mesenteric arteries and drain into pre-aortic nodes at the origin of these vessels. So these are the different nodes. So this is most useful, right? So these yellow things along the medial border of the colon is are paracolic, right? Paracolic. And these in the serous layers are epicolic, right? Along the border of the superior mesenteric and inferior mesenteric are terminal colic, right? So along the named vessels are called as intermediate colic, right? So this is the intermediate colic, right, left, middle colic, right? So that is those groups that drain into the system. You see, so the colon and cecum drains into the mesocolic lymph nodes, red colic and middle colic lymph nodes, that drains into superior mesenteric lymph nodes, that drains into intestinal trunks, cysternochylium, thoracic duct. Whereas the colon, sigmoid colon, into mesocolic lymph nodes, they drain into inferior mesenteric lymph nodes, to the left lumbar lymph nodes, cysternochylium. Right? That is the lymphatic drainage. So this is the lymphatic drainage. See? So ultimately, this is the inferior mesenteric and superior mesenteric. Right? Ultimately, intestinal lymph trunks, lumbar trunks, intestinal lymph trunks, and cysternochylium, thoracic duct. This one being different nodes. Okay, that is the overview of the large intestine. Let me know if you have any doubts. Right.